Good morning, students. Today we are going to see module 1. In the all these previous classes we were seeing about module 4. Uh, let's move on to the module 1, which is about application layer. If you see application layer, these are the topics which we have to cover. That is principles of network applications, network application architecture, transport services available to the application, transport services provided by the internet, and the application layer protocols. These are the topics which we have to see under this application layer module. So practically speaking, if you want to see the 7 layers of this OSI model, this is the application layer which comes at the top of the OSI layer, and the whatever this people are using or seeing practically is the application layer. Okay, so we will now, so it will be very easy for us to understand what is application layer, since we are visualizing the application layer in day-to-day life. So we'll see how the application layer works, what are the functionalities, what are the protocols involved in it, and the other functionalities apart from the how it is going to support the other layers apart from its own functions. This is what we are going to see in this video. Yes, this is about the architecture principles of network applications. See, as I said, in the OSI layer it is at the top. Here they have visualized the TCP layer. So if you see, only 5 layers are there. This is TCP model, TCP IP model, in which 5 layers are there. This is application, transport, network, link, and the physical. So with the application layer only, we are opening our Chrome. With the help of the application layer, we are opening our Chrome and we are typing the data and sending it to the destination or our friends through mail or through any other protocols. If you want to send the files, you will be using FTP. If you want to send the mail, you have to use SMTP of application layer. And if you want to go for video conferencing, then the application layer is only going to help you. So these are the different applications where the application layer helps us to do the functions. Okay, we will see the next topic of ours will be the architectures. Okay, we have 2 types of architecture. One is client server architecture and the other one is peer-to-peer architecture. So from the name itself you can understand that client server architecture is nothing but client will be providing the service, client will be requesting the service and the server will be providing the service. So this is how the client server architecture works. So these are the topics in the application layer. Now yes, this is what client server architecture is. Server always will be if you take a client or the server, both will be the host. Okay, so the servers always on host, permanent IP address, always it has a permanent IP address. Since it is going to serve, they will be having the permanent IP address. You have to assume that server is nothing but the person who is going to answer the questions of all the clients. That's it. Okay, it is the responsibility of the server to respond to the queries of the client. So the IP address of the server will be permanent. And if you take the clients, communicate client, actually obviously if you have any query, we will be asking the server. For example, Google search engine, Google server will respond to all the queries given in the Google request page. So clients communicate with server, may be intermittently connected, may have dynamic IP address. Yes, it is not necessary that client should have permanent IP address. Anybody can ask with any of the IP address, right? So do not communicate directly with each other. So it will not communicate directly with each other through some intermittent host. It will be communicating. Next comes point-to-point architecture. If you take this, the name itself suggests peer-to-peer architecture, also you can call it as. It is the communication between two different hosts directly. See, if you take this point-to-point architecture, it is nothing but direct communication between the 2 peers. That's it. The peers are not owned by the service provider, but are instead desktops and laptops controlled by the users, with most of the peers residing in homes, universities, and the offices. It's not necessary that the peer should be owned by the service provider. I can directly communicate with my friend. I can sit in the home or the office or any university and I can communicate with my friend. So the architecture which is established between the two people for communicating with each other is nothing but peer-to-peer architecture. So if you want to communicate with the Google search engine, then it is client-server architecture. If I want to communicate with my friend through Zoom or any other meeting, video conferencing, then it is nothing but peer-to-peer architecture. Okay. Peers communicate without passing through a dedicated server. So it doesn't need that it should pass through any dedicated, some server is required. So it can directly, without any other server's help, they will communicate directly with each other. So many of today's most popular and traffic intensive applications are based on peer-to-peer architecture. So there will not be any disturbances, there is no traffic since only two people are involved. If you take the client server architecture, it is the responsibility of the server to answer all the questions given by the client. So it may take some time, response time will be high. So because of that, delay will also be high. So that is the disadvantage of client server architecture. These applications include file sharing, yes, peer assisted download acceleration, internet telephony, as we said. So by peer-to-peer, by using peer-to-peer architecture, we can share our files, we can download any applications, and internet telephone also can be done. Then yeah, we are watching now so many channels like through video, that is also can through internet you can see the channels also. So this is how our peer-to-peer architecture works. Next, if you take processes communicating, what is process? Actually we need a process to communicate with each other. First, what happens in the if you take this data link layer, it will communicate with the next neighboring host or next host. And if you take the network layer, it will communicate from the source to the destination. And if you take transport layer, it will communicate with the process. Okay, so if I'm using mail, then my SMTP mail process will be communicating with the mail process of my friend. So this is how the processes communicate with each other with the help of the port. So if I am sending a mail, then I have to attach the port number through which my process will be communicating. Mail means it will be involving SMTP, so SMTP protocol should be used, and the SMTP port number should be used, which is 20. Okay, so if it is FTP, then 25 should be used. If it is HTTP, the corresponding that is, if it is going to be a search, Google search, which will involve the server intervention, then web page intervention, then we have to go with the HTTP protocol, who's with their respective port number. So for every communication, two processes also should communicate with each other. So a process can be thought of a program that is running within an end system. So in every end system, the process will be running. When processes are running on the same end system, they can communicate with each other with inter-process communication. Yes, in a system we can run simultaneously 2-3 processes also. That is also possible using rules that are governed by the end system's operating system. In the same system, if 2-3 processes wants to communicate with each other, then we can use its own protocol. Okay, then comes how process running on different hosts with potentially different operating systems communicate. So how the processes in different hosts is going to communicate, that's what we are going to say. So processes on two different end systems communicate with each other by exchanging messages across the computer networks. As I said, through the network they will communicate. So from the transport layer, the messages will go to the network, then it will move on to the link layer or data link layer, then it will be sent by the link layer through the signals or any analog. It can be of analog or digital form, and it will reach the destination. Again, the same hierarchy will be followed. A sending process creates and sends messages into the network. A receiving process receives this message, possibly respond by sending messages back, as I said here. Next, processes communicating. So which and all processes will be communicating with each other? One is client process, the other may be server process. If you are going to use peer-to-peer communication, then the two peers process will be communicating.